movement was interested in yoga and Indian spiritualism and clothes and everything. So she found these two little figures. She brought them to Prabhupada, wondered what Prabhupada would say. Prabhupada paid his obeisances and said, "The Lord of the universe has arrived." So everyone was very pleased. And he said to Malaji, "Go back and get the other one, some are missing. There's 3. I'd like to ask Malaji the exact detail about them. Which she found first, and it's an important question. Which did she find first? Was it Balaram or Subhadra? And then she went back for Jagannath. Anyways, he brought the 3. Prabhupada was ecstatic and called Malaji's husband Shamasunda, who he knew was a sculptor, a wood sculptor. And he said, "Can you make big ones? Can you make big size? Say the ones Malaji found are this size. Or maybe smaller, I don't know." And then he said, "Can you make big ones?" So Shamasunda said, "Yes, I can do." So then they had an expedition to there's like a wood yard somewhere down by the docks in San Francisco, where there's big logs, they're floating from the Pacific Ocean, big logs. Because they'd read up, maybe Prabhupada told them, that the original Jagannaths were carved out of big logs that floated in from the sea. That itself is a long story. How Maharaj Indradyumna was a great king in Orissa. I don't know, millions of years ago. Anyhow, he was always lamenting. He had no Ishtadev for his kingdom. He had no deity for the kingdom. So this is Sanatana Dharma. Sanatana Dharma means that the culture is based on devotional service to the Lord. All the varnas and ashrams, Arajate, Visnu they're all supposed to please, everyone's supposed to please the Lord by their service, whether you're a worker, whether you're a farmer, whether business community, or administrator, or whatever you are, spiritual leader, Brahmin, you're supposed to please. It's like the body of society has to feed the stomach. If we don't feed the stomach, yatatora mula says, indriyanam, simply by feeding the stomach, just all the senses are satisfied. Anyway, Maharaj Indradyumna thought, well, must find that deity, Nila Madhav. He'd heard some or other. He'd heard of Nila Madhav, blue Krishna. Blue Krishna was somewhere in his kingdom. And he sent out Vidyapati, his very intelligent secretary. Go and find. So, you know the story better than me, but anyway, this is a background leader to this festival. So, of course, Vidyapati was scouring, he was getting hope of scouring the countryside, asking, where's Nila Madhav? And he stayed in one village of Sabaras, pig keepers, keep pigs. low-class people. So he didn't have any alternative. He had to stay there, although he was Brahmin, although a very elevated personality. He stayed there, and as things happened, Lalita, the daughter of the king of the Sabaras, Vishvashu, they fell in love with one another. Well, I don't know about that. But anyhow, they decided to get married, and he became part of the household. But he noticed that his father-in-law was coming back. Every day he came back. He didn't smell of pigs. Beautiful scent. What is this scent? Flowers or incense? So he asked his wife, "Where's your father going? What's he going? Where are you going to the jungle every day? In the mountains? What's he doing up there?" And she said, "Well, you're my husband, so I can't keep anything from you now. So actually, he's going to worship Nilamada." The Japanese said, "Wow, oh, Krishna has guided me to him. Now, my mission is fulfilled for Maharaj Indra. I thought I was going to give up. But now, look what's happened. Krishna's help sometimes in our life. Krishna helps in unseen ways. We don't know how it's going to work out, but Krishna has his plan. Don't know how it's going to work out, but Krishna knows what's best for us. So, then, of course, he spoke to his father-in-law, "Please, let me come with you. Please." And he was angry at first. "What? Who told you I was worshipping Nilamada? I know you, Brahmins, secretary of Maharaj Indra. As soon as you discover this Nilamada, then you will call the king, and he will take Nilamada from me. He's looking for Nilamada. I know he wants to take Nilamada." So, he was very angry, but it was his son-in-law. In Indian culture, family ties, it's still here in the West. People do anything for family. I've heard of one who's expert in filmmaking. He says that all modern films, they all have an strong element of family ties. You know, the hero has to save his daughter, or the hero has to save his wife, or there's a whole family things involved. So Vishvashu thought, "Oh no, he's my son-in-law. It's my duty to show him Nilamada." But he said, "No, you can't come unless you're blindfold." So Vijayapati agreed. He said, "Okay, I'll come. And at least I get darshan of Nilamada, the hidden deity in the king's, His Majesty King, in his Jumna's kingdom." But he was very clever. He asked Lalita, "Give me one bag of mustard seeds. Mustard seed bag." And they put it in his pocket, or wherever it was, I'm not sure. And there was a little hole. I don't know if you know how small mustard seed is. You can hardly see it. So, as his father led him blindfold through the jungle, up the mountain, and Nilachal, or whatever mountain it was, I'm a bit confused about that. Anyway, the mustard seed was dropping along the path. So eventually he came there was a lake, and my memory is not completely clear of what happened, but he realized how holy his leg was, he saw one crow, all crow dropped into the water and came out in a four-handed form and flew back to Vaikuntha. So he realized this is a holy place, and his father-in-law said, okay, we've come to the darshan, to the cave, or to wherever it was, where Nila Madhav is. So you can take off your blindfold now. Took off his blindfold, and he saw the most beautiful form of Krishna. Nila Madhava ki Jai. Nila Madhava ki Jai. Nila Madhava ki Jai. Vijapati just feasted his eyes on Krishna. I always think that Nila Madhava must be something like the deity of Sachimata's grandfather, Nila Chakrabarti. You know, what was that place? What's it called? Belpapur, on the Navadvip Mandal Parikrama. It's a beautiful deity of Krishna playing the flute, all alone. Something like that, very blue, very sweet. I imagine like something like that. So, Vijapati had darshan, and then he was blindfolded again, and he came back. As soon as he get back, oh, father-in-law, I'm going now. I have to go back to my king, King Indradyumna. Oh, Vishwashri he knew what was going to happen. He's going to bring Maharaj Indradyumna. But he thought, well, how will they find him? No problem. So, Maharaj Indradyumna brought his army, and they surrounded the village, and they arrested the king. By that time the mustard seed had grown. There was yellow flowers leading through the jungle. And the king easily went up through the jungle onto the mountain to find Nila Madhav. And he came for darshan. Nila Madhav gone. Nila Madhav gone. Gone. So Maharaj Indradyumna, he was very manic depressive type. Manic depressive means sometimes very ecstatic and sometimes completely hopeless. So he became hopeless. I failed to find Nila Madhav. Nila Madhav is gone. Then, in some form or other, he heard a voice, Nila Madhav will come in another form from the ocean, Nilachal. And he will manifest himself in the form of huge logs with these Shankar Chakra Gadapat markings on these logs, and they will come in from the sea. And then you will carve these, and then I will appear to you. So this was the message transmission to Maharaj Indradyumna, and he was waiting by the ocean, Nilachal, which is now Jagannath Puri. And lo and behold, huge logs, gigantic logs, came floating in the sea, effulgent. These were obviously the logs, but they couldn't move them. They came to the beach, nobody could lift them. They got huge elephants, beating the elephants. Elephants were crying. The logs wouldn't move. Nobody knew what to do. But then Vishwashu, who had been, taken to the capital, the king of the Savaras, presumably he was in custody, in chains, but he was the original pujari. Remember, he was the original pujari of Nila Madhav. And he said, listen, don't worry, I can bring the logs. I said, what? this guy? Yes. And he walked down. He brought the logs, single-handedly. Nobody could believe it. It was a miracle. This is, how do you say, because, there's three things we are composed of in brief. Matter, mind, and spirit. And spirit is the basis of everything. From spirit, mind is developing material mind and material elements according to the modes of material nature. So, Vishvashu, you're spiritually connected with Nilamala, direct connection. And he was able to do this miracle. So supernatural occurrences, miracles, so-called miracles, they happen because of spiritual intervention. So that matter and mind is activated in unusual ways, magical ways. So the great event, logs were taken and they were searching for a carver, a sculptor. And Prabhupada was also asking, Shyamasundar, can you carve the deities? He said yes. And Shyamasundar also carved our deities in London temple. He was carving our deities in London temple. I don't know where the wood came from. Maybe they were also brought from, wood was sent from San Francisco, I don't know, or London temple. So anyhow, anyone who tried to carve this wood, the chisels, it just broke. It was so hard. That in Africa, there's some wood like that. They call it ironwood. It's just like, you can't do anything with it. It's just like iron. It's heavier stronger than mahogany. It's just like, it doesn't float, just goes straight to the bottom. And it was some incredible tree, very rare tree. So anyhow, all the sculptures were hopeless. They gave up. And then one sculptor came on, very old guy, very old. And he was actually Vishvakarma, taking part in the Lord's pastime. Vishvakarma, the engineer, the demigods. Engineer. So he said, I can do it. I will do it. I will carve the deities. But don't disturb me. For how many days? How many days were it? 22 days. If you disturb me, then the work will be finished. That's it. Party's over. Game's over. So they said, yeah, go on. So he put him in a nice studio. And they every day were listening. So they were very happy. Wow, he's getting on. Soon we'll see Nilamala. Oh, fantastic. And very happy. And naturally, just like a father waiting outside the maternity home, pacing up and down. Oh, is it going to be a boy or a girl? His wife is in there, wondering how she's getting on, what's happening. So Maharaj in Jejumla was feeling very tense and expectant father. And his wife also was involved, and she was getting impatient. And one day she said, I can't hear anything. Maybe the sculptor's sick now. Maybe he's got sick. He was very old. Maybe he can't manage it. Maybe we should go in and see. Maharaj was in two minds. Hesitant, no, we mustn't disturb. If we go in, it'll all be finished. Well, we can't go in. No, his wife was like, no, I must go in. So this, okay, open the door. And there, with the wooden forms. Yeah. Like this, but unpainted. Just raw wood. Maharaj, I'm going to do it. I've blown it. I've done it again. Failure. Oh. I'll fast until death now. I'll fast until death. Some people do that. My godbrother did that. Amazing. He's called Sukarma. He's very nice. He's a nice devotee. He's living outside ISKCON. But as soon as he heard, he had some blood disease, leukemia, something like that. So I don't take any medicine. I don't want to go through all that. I'm going to fast until death. He did that. Totally amazing. He just fasted until death. He died. Devotees were there. So it was amazing. So he said, I fast until death. And he was going into this fasting mode. And then, again, Narada Muni appeared to him and said, don't worry, this is my version. This, the original version is better, of course. That's all I can remember now. So, don't worry, this actual form of the Lord. What actual form of the Lord? Yes, and you have to paint the eyes and so on their forms. And these were the forms which I saw in Dwarka. Some Purana or other. And Krishna was, Rohini was in Dwarka, and she was surrounded by the queens, Krishna's queens, and other women folk, like Draupadi and others. And they wanted to hear Rohini, you tell us what happened in Vrindavan. You tell us what happened in Vrindavan with Krishna and the gopis and the cowherd boys. We want to hear. You saw them. You were there in Vrindavan. You were the mother of Balaram. You please tell us. So all Marajas were in a huddle in the palace. But they were very worried because they knew that if Krishna was reminded of his Vrindavan pastimes, he'd become dysfunctional. And he's the king of Dwarka. And when the king becomes dysfunctional or mad, and everything, goes haywire, everything becomes disturbed. So Subhadra, you go and stand at the door. Don't let Krishna Balaram come in here. Don't let them know what's going on. This was their big mistake. Because they were all hearing about Vrindavan pastimes. And who should come along the path but Krishna came. What's my sister doing here? What's she up to? You know how you have a younger sister? You know how you treat your younger sister? What you doing then? Oh, nothing. What's going on in there? Krishna heard. And he heard something about his childhood Vrindavan pastimes. Immediately, all the memories flooded back into Krishna's heart. If only I was there in Vrindavan with Radharani and the gopis again. What am I doing in Dwarka here? I'm a king, I have so many wives and armies, palaces. I just want to be my real self, my original self, Govinda. That's where I really am. It's my heart of hearts. So he's just going through this transformation of mind, and his Krishna's whole body become just like an ecstatic form, big eyes, big smile. And Balaram came. What's happened? Look what's happened to Krishna. What's going on in there? He started to listen. Same thing. They become transformed, just like wood. All their body, all their limbs go into their body, just like wood. Ecstatic symptoms, just like Lord Chaitanya. When we'll hear Chaitanya Chaitanya, sometimes he would become like wood. The body become like wood. So then Subhadra, she's standing at the door, and then her brother, two brothers, completely transformed. She became transformed in remembrance of Vrindavan. So then Narada Muni came past. I saw them like this. And Maharaj and Vijayamuni, I saw them like this. This is real forms of the Lord in ecstatic separation from their pastimes in Vrindavan. So this is, in brief, some of the story of Jagannath. So Prabhupada, he wanted to introduce this form to the Lord. To the world. I wanted to introduce this form. So we had the first Rath Yatra. Was it 1968 or 67? Haribo!
67.
Wake up! Please stand up if you're falling asleep. But don't fall over and break your skull. I was doing some research into Gorakhpur. Very interesting. Because I heard that one time Prabhupada was thinking of opening a university in Gorakhpur in North India. So I went through the folio and looked at everything about Gorakhpur. And there was one funny lecture. And Prabhupada we had just come to India for the first time with Prabhupada's disciples like Malati, Shyamsundar and everyone. And we were unused to India, the heat, the food, the climate. Half the time we were sick. We didn't get enough rest, the mosquitoes. So in the class, it was often we would doze off. And Prabhupada, in some of the classes, Prabhupada became really angry. He said, "What is this, dozing?" Dozing means like this. This is called dozing. Yeah, I'm just saying. This is dozing. Dozing! Prabhupada says, there's one thing that disturbs me. It's people just dozing in my class. You can sleep, Prabhupada said, you can sleep 24 hours, but don't doze in my class. And then to one devotee, he said, I give you special dispensation. You can sleep as much as you like. You can eat as much as you like. But don't doze in my class. He says, it irritates me very much. Irritates me very much. Nothing irritates me more. What he's saying, going on about it, on about it. So where were we? Yes, the first Rath Yatra, was it 68 or 69? Huh? First Rath Yatra in San Francisco. So since then, spread all over the world. And how long is the class?
8:45.
Huh?
8:45.
How are we now? 8:22. So often in our temples we hear from this part of Chaitanya Charitamrita, Lord Chaitanya in Jagannath Puri. Because Lord Chaitanya attended the Rath Yatra festival regularly with his devotees